Your life doesn't start with a lullaby, but with the dry crackle of marijuana stalks your mother is sorting in the kitchen. Welcome to Mexico's Golden Triangle, the state of Sinaloa, late 90s. Here, the mountains are so high they block out the sun, and the land is so fertile that only money and death grow on it. You're 7 years old. Your toys are empty, .22 caliber shells you pick up from the dust by the road. You don't know what your father does for a living. You just know that when he pulls up in a white Ford Raptor, the village celebrates and bursts of gunfire bloom in the sky. You're 11. Your childhood is officially over. Your uncle gives you your first job. You don't go to school, you go to the hill. You are now a halcon, a falcon. Your weapon isn't a pistol, but an old radio that hisses like a snake. You sit under the scorching sun 12 hours a day. Your task is simple. Watch the road. If you see green trucks with soldiers, you have to press the button and say just one word. You are the cartel's first line of defense. You learn to recognize the sound of a federal police engine from a mile away. In exchange, they give you new sneakers and the feeling that you're part of something big. You watch the armed convoys drive past, and you know, these people are gods, and you are their eyes. In Sinaloa, they say, better to live 5 years as a king than 50 years as a slave. You've already made your choice, even though you haven't even started shaving yet. You're 16. Your childhood on the road ended the moment they tossed you into a pickup truck with a bag over your head. They aren't taking you to school, they're taking you to hell. You end up in a training camp hidden in the thick jungles of Tamaulipas. Your teachers aren't street thugs. They're former GAFE elite special forces officers who traded their oath to the government for an oath to the dollar. Here, the air is thick with the smell of damp earth, diesel, and fear. For the first 3 days, you don't eat or sleep. They teach you to survive in conditions where every step could be your last. But the worst part is the psychological breaking. They give you a knife and put you in front of someone who was in your same squad yesterday but turned out to be weak. Your first exam isn't target practice. Your first exam is proving you're ready to take a human life without blinking an eye. If you refuse, you become the next target. If you do it, you become part of Los Zetas. Your instructor puts a hand on your shoulder, and his fingers smell like gunpowder. He doesn't teach you to protect. He teaches you to destroy. Now, you're no longer a boy from Sinaloa. You're a combat unit. They give you a tattoo, not for looks, but for identification. You learn to strip an AK-47 blindfolded in 15 seconds. You learn to listen to the silence, because death hides in the silence. When you leave this camp, you're no longer a human being in the full sense of the word. You're a Sicario. You don't feel hunger. You don't feel fatigue. You don't feel doubt. You're a tool in the hands of whoever pays the most. You're 20. You aren't hiding in the brush anymore. You're the face of the cartel, and in this world, your look matters as much as your gun. Your style is bouchon, flashy luxury bordering on madness. Your shirts are Versace silk with prints where golden medusas intertwine with weapon patterns. Your hand is a gallery. On your fingers are massive gold rings, each worth more than your family earned in 5 years. But the most important thing is what hangs around your neck. It's a pendant of Santa Muerte, holy death. You don't pray in church like normal people. You don't ask for forgiveness because you know it's not coming. You pray to her, the Niña Blanca, white girl, so she'll deflect the bullet from your head in the next shootout. Your arsenal isn't just metal. Your Colt 1911 is covered in engravings, and the grip is made of mother of pearl with your name carved into it. To you, it's not a weapon. It's a religious artifact. You bring offerings to Malverde, the narco saint, leaving bottles of expensive tequila and rounds of ammo on the altar. You live in a world where every trip into town is a catwalk on the edge of death. You drive a black Suburban with pitch-black tint, and anyone who sees your silhouette knows it's better to look down and stop breathing. Your luxury isn't about comfort, it's a way to intimidate. You want them to see how much your loyalty to death costs. You have everything: money, power, fear in the eyes of those around you. But you never take off your bulletproof vest, even when you go to sleep. Because you know, holy death comes for everyone. But every day you try to convince her to wait. You're 24. The war for the plazas has stopped being a game of hide and seek. It's become an industrial catastrophe. Your gang doesn't rely on light pickups anymore. They're too vulnerable to 7.62 caliber rounds. You are a monstruo operator. This isn't a car, it's an iron coffin on wheels. You take a standard commercial truck, strip the body, and weld it over with 2-centimeter thick steel plates. You weld the windows shut, leaving only narrow slits through which you watch the world burn. On the roof, you mount a homemade turret for a Browning M2 machine gun. When this beast hits the road, the asphalt buckles under its weight. You sit inside, where the temperature hits 40 degrees, and the smell of heated metal mixes with the stench of sweat and your brothers-in-arms' cheap cologne. When the shootout starts, you don't aim. You squeeze the turret trigger, and the concrete walls of the houses turn to dust. You watch an enemy pickup fly apart under a hail of lead, and you feel nothing but the vibration of the steel beneath your hands. This is your new reality. You're no longer a warrior. You're part of a mechanism that grinds up everything living. You call these machines narco tanks. To the Mexican army, you aren't bandits. You're an insurgent army. You control the highways, you build checkpoints, you extort a toll from everyone passing by. You feel like a god on wheels, until one of your guys hits a mine planted by rivals, or until the sound of army helicopter rotors appears in the air. Then, your armor becomes your prison. You're 27. You're no longer just a gunman. You've become part of the digital terror. Your cartel realized that the scariest weapon isn't a machine gun, but fear, broadcasted millions of times over. You don't just kill, you create content. You film on your phone as your brothers interrogate rivals, and you hit publish. These videos fly across Twitter and Facebook, clogging the feeds of Blog del Narco. You are the director of a hell where the lead roles are played by people with only minutes left to live. But the most horrific part is what happens after the camera stops. Every squad has a pozolero. You know this guy, you eat tacos together, but when it's time to clean up the tracks, he puts on a rubber apron and a mask. His job is the acid barrels. His job is to make sure not even DNA is left of a person. You stand nearby while he prepares his pozole. The air smells of a caustic chemical solution that stings your eyes. To him, it's just a solution. To you, it's proof that justice doesn't exist in this world. You watch the barrel fill up and realize you will never have a funeral. Your fate is to become part of a sewer or be dissolved in a barrel dumped in the desert. Paranoia starts to consume you. You look at your cook and wonder, is he preparing a spot for an outsider right now? Or maybe for you? In a world where there are no bodies, there are no crimes. And in a world where there are no crimes, there are no laws. You've stopped believing in God. You believe in acid. You're 35. You're a Sicario. You've survived where entire squads died. You know that in this business, you don't retire, but you believed in your own exceptionalism. You saved up enough to buy your freedom and disappear into the Sierra Madre Mountains, far away from the bosses who started to fear you. You pull up to your last legal objective, a small villa on the border where, according to your intel, you're supposed to pick up the cash and documents for your new life. You park, cut the engine, and the silence around you seems too perfect. You don't smell the setup. You don't see the sniper on the hill who's been tracking you through a scope for the last 10 kilometers. This isn't some guy's revenge. It's a decision by the cartel's board of directors. You know too many names, you know the accounts, you know where the pozoleros are buried. To them, you're not a legend. You're an asset that turned toxic. The first shot comes through the windshield. It's a .50 caliber round. It doesn't just kill, it tears the reality around you apart. You try to reach for your Colt, but your arm won't obey. It's simply gone. You feel a strange warmth as metal and glass slice into your body. Your last raid ends right where you planned to start over. You don't die like a warrior. You die like a decommissioned part of a machine that was just deleted from the database. Your death is nothing more than a line in an expense adjustment report. It's all over. Your empire, built on bones, is crumbling into dust, while somewhere deep in a cartel office, someone is simply checking a box next to your name in a database. The cinematic myth of drug lords is just a marketing strategy to lure new boys into death camps. The real story of a Sicario is a brief flash that burns out before the smoke even has a chance to rise. Your spot at that village entrance, where you once sat with a radio, has already been taken by a new 11-year-old boy. He's watching the road and waiting for an order. He doesn't know yet that you are his future, and he is your forgotten past.